So in a recent video, I talked about every single NFL team's quarterback, and I basically proposed the question, does your team have their franchise quarterback, the most important position in the league? Now, we're going to talk about a different position today. Some may say the least most important position in the league, and we're going to talk about running backs, but I still love the running back position, and we're going to throw everybody into a tier list. And we have a pool of just every single, I think, most valuable running back on a team right now, or maybe just the best running back in general, and we're going to drop them into 5 different tiers. Now, the shelf life for a franchise quarterback could range from 10 to 15 to 20 years in the NFL. If you have a franchise running back, I think you got to be blessed if you get like 5 to 6 years out of the guy, because these guys obviously suffer a ton of injuries because of how grueling this position can be. Once you hit 30, everyone's like, okay, it's time to move on, time to go in a different direction to get younger, unless you're Derrick Henry or like Frank Gore when he was still doing it. So that is kind of going to be the criteria. Franchise running back, I think you're the guy now, and at least for the next like 3+ years, which I think is good enough in this league. Really good, which means you just have a really solid running back right now. Maybe you're not going to pay this guy a boatload of money, and that's how you eventually move on, but you have your guy right now. Fine for now, like a good enough running back behind a, like, it kind of comes down to offensive line and game planning and offensive coordinators. Like, if you have an elite O-line, pretty much all these guys are talented enough for the most part to be a really good running back. But I'll just say fine for now. Like, can they make something out of nothing, especially if they don't have a good O-line? 50-50 where, okay, like, he could be a good RB2, but I think you should get a guy, and then time to move on is like, yeah, you need to look for a different, more talented running back maybe in the offseason. And yeah, all these guys are still good enough to be RB2s in this league, which is a very valuable position in the NFL as well. It could be a goal line back, it could be a third down back. It's not all fantasy related, right? This is kind of going to be like how they are in the NFL. Contracts could matter as well, but we'll hop into this. We have Aaron Jones here at the top. Aaron Jones is one of the older running backs we're going to talk about here today. I think it's time to move on for him as your guy in Minnesota. I mean, there's going to be a ton of mock drafts predicting them to go after Jeremiah Love. We'll see how the offensive line is going to look next year. Vikings fans could say maybe it's been a disappointment this year in a way, and obviously the offense in general around JJ McCarthy. I think just in the big year 2026 next year, you don't want Aaron Jones to be your starting running back. Like, you could maybe throw him in 50-50. Like, he could just keep on he could just keep on being a solid enough starter, but I think we want to shoot for the stars here in Minnesota with what Kevin O'Connell can unlock with this offense going forward. So yeah, I would say Aaron Jones, time to move on. Jahmyr Gibbs, probably the same. No, I'm just kidding. Jahmyr Gibbs is obviously a franchise running back. You can make an argument to me right now, he's the best running back in the league, or at least the most talented running back in this league. And he's somebody that splits kind of carries, or used to in the past, with David Montgomery. And obviously he's getting more of a workload this year, as it shows. He was a first-round pick a couple years ago. He's been just a dominant runner in between the tackles. He's one of the quickest runners in the NFL. It feels like every other week this year, he had 3 touchdowns. One of the more explosive backs in this league. That could come back down on the luxury of playing with Ben Johnson for a couple years, playing behind this Detroit offensive line, a team that's had a top 5 offense or a top 10 offense over the last few years. Yes, that benefits Jahmyr Gibbs, but Jahmyr Gibbs is clearly one of the best running backs in the league. He's going to get, you got to pay him. I know he's a running back, and I know they're paying Aiden Hutchinson, Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and plenty of others in Detroit, but you got to pay Jahmyr Gibbs to be your franchise running back moving forward. Next up, Bijan Robinson, also franchise running back. Hey, we had 2 running backs selected in the first round in that 2023 draft, and they both worked out. I would say you can make an argument Gibbs is better than Bijan. You could say Bijan is better than Gibbs. I will say Gibbs has had a better environment and situation than Bijan Robinson, and they've both had good number 2s because Atlanta loves Tyler Allgeier, who is a very good RB2 in this league as well. So yeah, Bijan and Gibbs, both extremely young, both in year 3 of their deals. They're going to get their 5th-year option picked up, and I'm going to assume both these guys get extended because I feel like, I don't know, the way that Saquon has been worth it, James Cook has been worth it, Jonathan Taylor has been worth it on their extensions. I think that's going to make Detroit and definitely Atlanta feel okay. Detroit is like a wild card in this because, I don't know, the cap isn't real, but they are paying plenty of other guys. I feel like Atlanta, when you got to pay Bijan, you're going to get out of the Kirk Cousins money. You still have Michael Penix under a rookie quarterback contract where they can easily afford Bijan. And I do wonder what he gets as well. And is it the highest running back contract in NFL history? Like, do we reset the market that way? Or is it just kind of like Jonathan Taylor money, maybe James Cook money at the end of the day? I think Breece Hall is really good. I think, I mean, for the Jets' purpose, though, like, they didn't trade him at the deadline because I think they're going to, like, tag him in the offseason. I don't think they're going to let him go. He is a free agent at the end of the year. I don't know. Maybe I end up bumping down Breece Hall, but I think he's a really good running back in this league. And I know he got hurt a couple years ago, suffered a major lower body injury. Took him a little bit of time to kind of get back last year. I was avoiding him in all fantasy drafts this year, and I think for what the Jets were this season, I think he's exceeded expectations. The Jets offensive line as a unit maybe hasn't been one of the best units collectively, but I think individually they have tremendous talent on that offensive line, and it's just like they've been behind in so many games this year. They've had to pass the ball a ton, which doesn't help out. For Breece Hall, it's just kind of numbers at the end of the day. They played a little bit of Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis this year. I think Breece Hall's a really good running back, and maybe Brett Veach was smart not to trade for Breece Hall, knowing that, okay, this isn't going to be a playoff Chiefs team. We shouldn't trade a day 3 pick or day 2 pick probably for Breece Hall, but I think he's a really good running back, and I wonder if he ends up getting moved in the offseason. Alvin Kamara, I still think is a really good running back, but I'm going to say he's fine for now because he's a little bit on the older side in terms of running back shelf lives. I do think there is a chance he could be, I don't know, since the Saints didn't trade him this year, and it feels like Kellen Moore is building a good culture there, and Tyler Shuck has looked like a franchise guy, this team could be like, I don't know, everybody's favorite breakout team in 2026, and they could be a playoff team with Alvin Kamara, and they've had Kendre Miller, who unfortunately tore his ACL this year. Devin Neal looked fine, but unfortunately suffered a season-ending injury. Now it's like Audric Estime out there for Tyler Shuck. I don't think Kamara is going to go anywhere. I think he's going to retire as a Saint most likely, but I would say as your main bell cow, I think he's fine for now. I don't know if I want to put him in the really good just because of the age difference between him and Breece Hall, but you can let me know if you disagree. Saquon. Ooh, this one is interesting because Saquon got a nice extension on top of the first contract he got from the Eagles because he was the best running back in the NFL last year and was definitely deserving of the extension. I still think he's a franchise running back, and you may disagree with that one. I know he's having a down year, especially fantasy-wise. He did have a pretty good week this past week against Washington because he scored a couple touchdowns, but I do think he is still a franchise running back in this league. I still think he's a top 5, top 6 running back, and he's still on the younger side. Like, he was drafted in 2018, but I do feel like Saquon's got still 3 more good years left as like a franchise running back and is not going anywhere anytime soon in Philadelphia. Derrick Henry. Oh man, it's so tough because if we're looking at like the bigger picture, we're talking about like a GM like aspect or outlook of this. Derrick Henry, like how many more good years does he have left? Like you should try to find the eventual Derrick Henry replacement. It might not be next year. 2027, I would be shocked if he's still doing what he's doing right now at 2027 or in 2027. So I'm going to put Derrick Henry in fine for now. I know it's been a disappointing year for Baltimore. They're most likely not going to make the playoffs unless Pittsburgh loses to Cleveland and they beat Green Bay in the same week, which is definitely possible. I mean, I'm a Steelers fan. This team can lose to anybody, honestly. But yeah, I'm going to put Derrick Henry there. Like, that doesn't mean Henry and Kamara are bad. I'm just saying that, like, they're fine as your guy for now, but because of age and maybe just mileage on their bodies, you should start maybe thinking elsewhere on who's going to replace these guys one day. Bucky Irving. It's been not the best year, too, for Bucky Irving. Everybody loved him last year. He was such a good rookie, such an electric rookie, but injuries have kind of, I don't know about plagued his sophomore year, but I guess they have. And obviously this Buccaneers offense has not been great over the last few weeks. I think he's fine for now, but I wonder if he's going to be like kind of the same thing next year, and he was a day 2 pick. Do you think that he's going to be the franchise guy going forward, or you're going to look elsewhere? Maybe that's unfair to Bucky, and because of age and just him being in year 2, I should have him in really good for your franchise running back. Like, this doesn't mean Breece Hall is better than these guys. It just means I kind of like the age and the outlook going forward. We'll see if the Jets end up paying him, though, moving forward. Isaiah Pacheco, time to move on. You know what? I'm going to throw Aaron Jones in 50-50. I'm going to throw Aaron Jones. I feel like it's disrespectful to have him in the Isaiah Pacheco tier. Hey, Isaiah Pacheco was a 7th round pick. This guy has definitely outperformed his rookie expectations, and he had unfortunate injuries last year as well for Kansas City. This offense, I don't know if Pacheco is the reason why it hasn't been that explosive this year. Maybe it's a Matt Nagy thing. I don't know, but I would say that, yeah, you can't roll into next year with Pacheco. I would love to see Jeremiah Love be in that offense with Patrick Mahomes, but I just feel like they need to add another offensive lineman. They need edge rushers. They may need another receiver before you spend a 1st round pick on a running back. So yeah, I'm going to have Pacheco on the time to move on. James Conner, I think 50-50, similar to Aaron Jones. Now, James Conner isn't like super old, but he did suffer a major injury this year. Trey Benson was supposed to be the guy that was maybe going to eventually take over the bell cow duties from James Conner, and then he unfortunately gets hurt this year. So there's been some Bam Knight, there's been some Michael Carter, some DeMercado this season, and I don't know if any of those guys have really emerged as like a franchise running back in Arizona. So I should have mentioned this at the top, but this is also like it could be a team logo. I kind of wanted to talk about like the best, or maybe the best asset running back that these teams have going forward. But it's kind of also talking about like the team logo. Like I'm kind of lumping in Connor with Benson and all these guys. Like, could one of those guys be your go-to guy for the next 3 years? Sure. I also have no idea who the quarterback is going to be on this roster next year. But for now, I'm going to throw it in 50-50. I think he's pretty much in line with Aaron Jones. I think Connor's maybe better than Aaron Jones slightly, but I think they're not in like that Kamara, Derrick Henry tier right now. I don't know. Maybe these two do have 3 more years left, and I should bump them up a tier. James Cook. Oh, man. I kind of want to put him in franchise running back. He got the extension. He's been arguably the best Buffalo Bill this season. He might win the rushing yard crown this year as well, which is crazy to say because of how good of a start Jonathan Taylor got off to this year. Wow. Yeah, I'm going to put James Cook in franchise running back. That might be a hot take. I've always been a James Cook believer, and I think he's just shown everybody that he's a top 5 running back in this league right now. He's in a perfect offense where the defenses have to respect Josh Allen so much. It allows for James Cook to kind of excel, but I don't know. This could also come back on the Steelers. Just horrible coaching in the game against Buffalo, where James Cook was missing both his starting tackles and still ran for like 150 plus yards against the Steelers. So I think he's a franchise running back. I still think Jonathan Taylor is a franchise running back as well. He got that extension after holding out from the Colts a couple years ago, and he was really solid last year, and then you're kind of worrying about the offense this year. He looked great with Daniel Jones. I know he's kind of cooled down a little bit over the last few weeks with Phillip Rivers, but I still think he's a franchise running back in this league. He was just drafted in 2020, and I still think he has at least 3 more years left of being a top guy. I don't know how many running backs I want to put in this tier. I wonder how much, yeah, like it's going to be. Josh Jacobs, do I want to say Josh Jacobs is fine for now? I do think he's really good. Now, Jacobs was drafted in 2019. Let me just, I wanted to kind of look at their ages here because Kamara is 30, Josh Jacobs is 27, Derrick Henry's 31, Saquon's 28, CMC's 29, James Conner's 30, Aaron Jones is 31. It's just like, you see that 3-0 in front of these guys' names and you get a little bit scared of what they could be going forward. I'm going to say Josh Jacobs is really good. I think he's like, he got paid from the Packers. I know he's not like an elite running back, but I feel like he could be your guy for the next 3 to 4 years. I just don't know if Kamara and Henry are going to be your guy for 3 to 4 years. Like in 3 years, these guys are going to be 33, 34, 35. 3 years, Jacobs is going to be 30. And then Kenneth Walker. Oh boy. Like I think Kenneth Walker is better than his stats show. I do. And they give the ball so much to Zach Charbonnet in the red zone, and like he dealt with such a bad offensive line last year. He's also dealt with injuries in his career. I think Kenneth Walker is really good. That might be a hot take. I'm a big Kenneth Walker guy, and I think he's just really, really good. Yeah, I'm gonna throw him in there. Now this is where it gets interesting. Maybe what I'm going to do is kind of change this tier a little bit, because I think I'm gonna put Christian McCaffrey in here. And then I'll probably put Bucky Irving. Do I think he's more 50-50 or Bucky's really good? I think I'm going to put Bucky in 50-50. I just don't think he's shown enough of Breece Hall, Jacobs, and Kenneth Walker. It doesn't mean these 3 guys are worse than these guys. I just want to reiterate that. It's just like Christian McCaffrey is so freaking good still. Like, do I think he's a franchise running back? I mean, Christian McCaffrey's 29 years old. He's only 1 year older than Saquon, and he's better than Saquon. It's just his injury history as well scares me. But I think, I don't know. Christian McCaffrey's been so good this year, and he's healthy again. It feels like McCaffrey either misses a whole season or plays a whole season. I don't really get it at all. And then I guess Aaron Jones is just like not as good as these two. James Conner maybe can be close to Kamara, but he's coming off a major injury, which scares me. And then Bucky, it's just like Rachaad White, I think, is going to be gone. Sean Tucker, they like to use in the red zone. And I wonder what it'll be, if he's going to be like the bell cow next year, or would they bring in somebody on a day 2 pick or something like that? I think Jaylen Warren is 50-50. I think Jaylen Warren's actually pretty good, but I just don't know if the Steelers are ever going to make him a bell cow. They didn't with Najee Harris. They're not really doing it right now with Kenneth Gainwell. They drafted Caleb Johnson. They did extend Jaylen Warren, I think, for 2 years after, or going into this year. Jaylen Warren did get, I mean, he's not even getting paid, I feel like, that much money this year. He's a 2028 unrestricted free agent, so he does have a couple more years as the guy. I just wonder if they'd keep bringing names. I mean, how old is Jaylen Warren? He's 27. I think Jaylen Warren is really good. And I just, like, do I think he's that far behind Walker or Breece Hall? He doesn't have, like, the draft capital and the prestige. But I'm going to throw him in that 50-50 tier. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I got to remember, too, like, next year he could still be the bell cow. But I would not be surprised if in 2 years they look for somebody else going forward. And I think that's where Bucky Irving comes into this as well. RJ Harvey, I mean, we haven't really seen him too much as a starter going forward. So, like, I think the jury's still out. That's why I'm going to throw him in 50-50. That's what it means. It could go either way. He looks good enough to be a franchise running back for this team. J.K. Dobbins looked really good at the start of the year. Unfortunately, injuries have kind of plagued his first year in Denver. I think Harvey looks good enough where he's going to be a guy going forward. Was a little bit on the older side coming into UCF. I believe he's 24 years old. So we'll see if he's going to be the bell cow for the next 3 years. I think he will be, but I don't know if I want to put him in this tier yet. So I'd say 50-50. Chuba Hubbard, I mean, this could also be Rico Dowdle. Maybe they extend Rico Dowdle at the end of the year. I think it's time to move on for at least Chuba. And then Rico, I don't know. You can also maybe put Rico in 50-50 if you were going to do that as well. I know Hubbard is getting paid a decent amount as well. He's getting paid, I mean, he's 26. He's not a free agent until 2029. Obviously, there's only $12 million guaranteed fully in that contract. So we'll see what ends up happening, but I feel like Carolina could go in a different direction in the offseason. I think Woody Marks, time to move on. I should say, like, this feels mean, but I'm going to say as RB1. I don't know if Rico's going to be back. It just feels like Hubbard is the most, like, sure asset on this team moving forward. But I think Hubbard's time as an RB1 might be done in Carolina. Pacheco, yes. And then Woody Marks, I think could be a good RB2. But I think it's time to move on from him as an RB1 moving forward. And maybe Aaron Jones can drop down there, but we've also seen Jordan Mason operate as an RB1 this year. Travis Etienne, 50-50. Like, I think Etienne is still good. I don't think Jacksonville is going to extend him at the end of the year. I could be wrong. Maybe Liam Cohen and James Gladstone really like him being a part of this future. Maybe it's just a bunch of Tuden going forward as well. So I'm going to put 50-50. Although I do think a team would get a really good running back if they signed him in the offseason. Chase Brown, also 50-50. I don't think it's time to move on from him as an RB1. I think he's been pretty good this year for Cincinnati with not really the best offensive line in the world as well. I know they didn't play a lot of meaningful football. I don't know if I want to put him in really good. And I feel like Etienne is really good. It's just the contract situation makes it 50-50. Like, Etienne, I think, is just as good as these guys up here. But I'm going to put him in 50-50. And then Brown maybe as well. But I just wonder if he would also be the guy in Cincinnati. TreVeyon Henderson, I mean, the jury's still out, but I think he's really good. Like, I think he's going to be a franchise running back one day for New England, and I'm glad over the last few weeks Mike Vrabel is really playing him more and actually giving him the touches he deserves. So I guess just like for the running backs, like the 50-50 question is still in play, but he's got the draft capital like selected in the second round where I think he's going to be their franchise running back. So like I could put him up here. Maybe that's just my hot take I got to put here in the video. I'm not saying he's as good as any of these guys. He needs to prove so much more, but I do think New England found their franchise running back in TreVeyon Henderson, because I might put somebody else up here as well. I might have more franchise running backs than you think up here, or maybe I got to drop some. DeAndre Swift, he's actually not been that bad this year in his second stint with Ben Johnson. I mean, I think he's 50-50 as an RB1. I don't think it's time to fully move on. I know Kyle Monangai has been solid this year as a 7th round pick, but are you going to make him your RB1 as a 7th round pick moving forward? I'll say he's 50-50. I'm going to throw Kyren Williams in really good. I just feel like with the emergence of Blake Corum this year in year 2, and just kind of the way I feel like McVay's believed in Kyren Williams, it wouldn't totally shock me if they were a team that found their Saquon Barkley if they were in Eagles, like the Eagles in the offseason. I don't think they're going to draft Jeremiah Love with one of their first round picks, but anything like crazier things have happened in the NFL before, and I just feel like they haven't fully committed to Kyren Williams, who can be, I mean, Kyren Williams, I don't think is really even getting paid that much money either. Just kidding. He got extended until 2029. So I look like an absolute idiot. I forgot they extended him. So I'm throwing him in really good. Maybe that means he is your franchise running back. You can let me know. Ashton Jeanty, franchise running back. He was just drafted in the top 10. He was just drafted, what, 6th overall by the Las Vegas Raiders. So I still think he's their franchise running back. I think Omarion Hampton is really good as well. I don't know if I could really, like, I don't know. They just drafted him in the first round. He probably is their franchise running back, at least for the next 3 years going forward. So yeah, I think he is their franchise running back. Bill, time to move on as RB1. I don't know. You could put Chris Rodriguez here. You could put Austin Eckler here. Either way, I think the Commanders do need to find a different difference maker in the offseason behind Jaden Daniels. I think Quinshon Judkins is an RB1 and their franchise running back. They just took him in the second round, so similar draft capital to TreVeyon Henderson. Going forward, both of them were on the same college team last year that won a national championship at Ohio State. So I think it would make more sense throwing Jeanty, Hampton, Judkins, and Henderson here. I think they're going to be future franchise running backs as well, but I just feel like these guys have proven so much more. Lumping them into the same tier is kind of tough. Cam Scatterbo, I think, is a future franchise running back. Like, he showed more, I think, in his stint before the injury than RJ Harvey. And Broncos fans, you can definitely let me know if I should have him here and he's closer to Cam Scatterbo and TreVeyon Henderson than I'm making him out to be. Next up, we have Javonte Williams. I think Javonte Williams is really good. I don't know if Dallas is going to extend him at the end of the year since he just signed that one-year deal. So I'm going to throw him in 50-50. Devon Achane, franchise running back, that's 100%. He has been unreal. He's definitely been the best Miami Dolphin this year. Out of the passing attack, in between the tackles, outside the tackles. He is unreal in Miami. And honestly, like, he keeps getting better in my mind every single year. And then Tony Pollard, probably time to move on as an RB1. I know he's been good over the last few weeks, but I do think an RB2 is fine. Let's get Cam Ward a different difference maker in that backfield going forward. So yeah, that is going to be my running back, like franchise running back tier list. Let me know what you agree or disagree with here. So franchise running backs, I think they're the franchise guy right now. They're one of the best running backs in the league. And I think they're at least going to be at the top for the next 3 years. The one guy I'm skeptical about is Christian McCaffrey. I mean, these guys are younger. Saquon, maybe he's 28. I think he'll be fine going forward. Really good. Breece Hall, I guess, could be like 50-50 since he is a free agent at the end of the year, but I think they're going to tag him. Kenneth Walker as well could be 50-50 in Seattle. I just think he's really good. And I like Kenneth Walker more than like Chase Brown and Travis Etienne and Bucky Irving. Kyron Williams extended, and I still think is really good for this offense. Josh Jacobs as well. These guys are going to be franchise running backs. They are, but I just wanted to differentiate that tier from this tier. Older, but still good. Like Henry and Kamara are good enough to be your RB1s this year and next year. It's just the year after that gets a little wonky, I would say. You could put McCaffrey down there, but McCaffrey has been so much better than these two this year. I would say 50-50, either old, coming off an injury, inexperienced, or are a free agent at the end of the year. I guess Jaylen Warren is the one guy that's like different because either these guys are free agents, they're still young, or they're like really old in terms of running back shelf life. So I would keep an eye out on Warren maybe. I don't know. I think Warren might be really good, but I also don't want to be biased as a Steelers fan. So I'm going to throw him there for bias purposes. And then time to move on. These 5 teams, Texans, Panthers, Commanders, Titans, and Chiefs should try to find a different running back in the offseason. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, I would appreciate you dropping a thumbs up. Let me know what you agree or disagree with down below. And let me know if you want to see this with wide receivers as well. Can definitely do that. And I'll catch you all on the next one. Peace.